I didn't realize I was in a relationship with a lie until I saw him unlock a door that wasn't supposed to exist, and a child ran toward him, not confused, not surprised like he had always belonged there. For 8 months, I spoke to a man who controlled every detail I knew about him. His name, his job, his life chosen carefully, and none of it real. My name is Zahra Malik. I'm 30. I own a restaurant I built myself, which means I don't trust easily, and I definitely don't fall for people online. But he didn't feel like online. He felt present. It started with a message I almost ignored. You look like someone who doesn't get told the truth often. It wasn't clever. It was accurate. That's why I replied. The first few weeks were light, not intense, not dramatic, just consistent. He didn't overwhelm me, and he didn't disappear. He showed up in a way that felt measured, controlled, like he understood timing better than most people. Slowly, he became part of my routine. Morning messages, late-night calls, small check-ins that didn't feel forced. He never rushed anything. He let it build. That's what made it dangerous. Looking back, the gaps were obvious. But when you're inside something, you don't see patterns, you feel presence. He never gave a clear answer about his work, always general. Business, projects, things that keep me moving. At the time, it sounded busy. Now I know it sounded empty. The first time I asked to meet him, he didn't say no. He smiled, or at least I could hear it in his voice, and said, soon. Not rejection, not a plan, just a promise without a deadline. And I accepted it. Months passed like that. He learned everything about me, my schedule, my habits, what I did when I was stressed, what I didn't say when something was wrong. But I didn't learn him. I learned the version he allowed. The night everything shifted didn't feel different at first. We were talking like always. Normal. Easy. Then he said, I might have to go away for a bit. I asked where. There was a pause, small, controlled, and then he said, home. Something came up. That word again. Home. The next morning he sent one message. I'll explain when things settle. They never did. Days passed, then weeks, then silence that wasn't accidental anymore. At first, I told myself he was busy. Then I told myself something serious had happened. Then I stopped explaining it. Because deep down I knew something simpler. People don't disappear like that. They exit. 2 months later, I drove to the address he once mentioned. He had said it casually, like background noise, the kind of detail you don't expect someone to remember. I remembered. The place didn't exist, or at least, not the version he gave me. That should have been the end. Most people would stop there, accept it, move on. I didn't, because it didn't feel like rejection. It felt like design. So I kept looking, not obsessively carefully. And then I found something. A development area. New houses. Quiet streets. Exactly like the one he described months ago when he thought I wasn't paying attention. I didn't expect to find him. I just needed to confirm something. But then I saw him. Not his face at first, his movement. The way he paused before unlocking a door. The way he checked his phone mid-step. The same small habits I had memorized without realizing it. And then the door opened. A woman stepped out, comfortable, familiar, like she belonged exactly where she was. And a child ran past her, straight into his arms. No hesitation. No confusion. Dad. That word didn't echo, it landed. Everything made sense in one moment. Not slowly, not emotionally, just clearly. He didn't lie once. He lied completely. I didn't walk toward him. I didn't call his name. I stood there and watched the version of him that was real. Then I left. Not because I was hurt, but because I understood. And once you understand something that clearly, you stop reacting. You start thinking. I didn't go back the next day or the day after because there's a difference between reacting to something and understanding how to use it. For the first week, I did nothing. I went back to my restaurant, back to my routine, back to the version of my life that existed before him. But something had shifted, not emotionally, structurally. I started noticing patterns I had ignored before. The timing of his calls, the gaps between them, the hours he was always busy. They weren't random. They were scheduled around a life that was never mine. That realization didn't hurt. It simplified everything. Because once you see the system, you stop believing in the story. I went back to that neighborhood on a Thursday morning, just to observe. At 8:12, he left the house alone, suit on, phone in hand, same pace I remembered. No hesitation, no instability. That bothered me more than the lie, because it meant I had never been a disruption, just an addition. And additions are easy to remove. I followed him once, not closely, not carelessly. He drove 10 minutes, parked outside an office building, walked in like he belonged there. Everything about him was real, just not with me. I stopped after that, because I didn't need more confirmation. I needed position. 3 weeks later, I moved. Same neighborhood, 3 streets away. Close enough that our routines would intersect, far enough that it wouldn't look intentional. The first time he saw me was early evening. I was getting out of my car, and he was walking past. He didn't stop, but he slowed. That's how recognition begins, not with shock, with hesitation. I didn't look at him fully, just enough to confirm what I already knew, and then I walked inside. No confrontation, no signal, because I didn't want a reaction. I wanted uncertainty. Over the next few days, nothing obvious happened, but I saw it in small ways. He started leaving earlier, coming back later, avoiding eye contact. Not obvious, but consistent. That's when I knew he had recognized me, and that's when the balance shifted, because now I wasn't the only one being observed. I never contacted him. No messages, no calls. Silence is heavier when it's intentional. A week later, I saw his wife up close, not suspicious, not aware, just someone living a life she believed in. That changed something, because up until that moment, this was about me. After that, it wasn't. I didn't feel anger toward her. I felt clarity, because now I understood exactly what he had built and exactly how fragile it was. I didn't rush. I learned their routine, when he was home, when he wasn't, when they went out together. Everything comes down to patterns, and once you see them, you can choose where to interrupt. The moment came on a Sunday. He wasn't home. She was. I walked to their door, calm, controlled, and knocked. When she opened it, she looked at me with polite confusion. Yes? I smiled slightly. I'm sorry, I think I might have the wrong house. She relaxed. That's okay. I let a second pass, then asked, Does Daniel live here? Not his real name, the one he gave me. Her expression didn't break, but it shifted. No, she said. I nodded. Right. Sorry. And I left. No accusation, no explanation, just a question that didn't belong. That night, his car stayed in the driveway longer than usual. Lights turned on in rooms that were usually dark. Instability. That's how things start breaking, not with truth, with doubt. A few days later, he came to my door. I let him knock twice before opening it. For a second, he didn't speak. You shouldn't be here, he said. Not how did you find me, just that. That's an interesting thing to say, I replied. You need to leave. This isn't what you think. What do I think? I asked. He hesitated. That this is complicated. No, I said. It's not. Silence. You lied, I continued. Not once completely. He exhaled. I was going to tell you. No, I said. You were going to continue. He stepped closer. You don't understand what you're messing with. I understand it exactly, I said. You built two lives. I just removed the distance between them. That's when he realized I wasn't there to argue. What do you want? He asked. Nothing, I said, and I meant it. That confused him because people like him understand demands, not absence. You should go, I told him. He waited for more, but there was nothing else, and that's what ended it. He left without control. The next few days, I didn't see him, but I saw the result. Changed routines, longer absences, shorter returns. And then one night something broke. Not loudly, but clearly. Voices inside their house sharp, contained. The kind of conversation that doesn't repeat itself. The next morning, his car was gone, not for the day gone. 2 days later, a moving truck arrived. Not dramatic, just enough. He wasn't there. She was, standing outside, signing something, alone. That's how endings actually look, not loud, not cinematic, just quiet rearrangement. I never saw him again. No messages, no attempts, nothing. And that was the final confirmation. Not that he was gone, but that he had lost control of the only thing he valued, the separation. I stayed for another month, not out of attachment, just to be sure, and then I left. Not because I needed distance from him, but because I didn't. He was already irrelevant. What mattered was understanding something I hadn't before. People don't create double lives by accident. They do it because no one forces both versions to exist in the same space. I didn't destroy his life. I aligned it, and that was enough. Some people don't break when you expose them. They disappear, because the version of them that survives can only exist in one place at a time.